Welcome to the Juneteenth celebration, all month with your hosts, The Truth of the Matter Is, with Mary and Pam.
For local information, you can contact the Columbia Embassy. You can contact www.naacp. Donald Trump. Part of it. I think that welcome back to the podcast with The Truth of the Matter Is with Mary and Pam. We have a lot of things to talk about today, and we hope that you will just sit back and enjoy and share any questions that you would have with us after the fact. So just sit back and relax as we talk about the issues of today. Hi, Pam.
Hello, how are you?
Oh, I'm good.
Good.
What you got for us here today?
Well, there's so much going on in the world today that I guess right now we really need to talk about what's going on out in California.
Oh, yeah.
It looks like a civil war situation going on out there with them having peaceful protests, and then our president sending in the military.
Absolutely.
Not only taking over the National Guard, that role which should have been under the leadership of the governor, but it was taken away from him, and he sent in the National Guard, and then that was not enough. Then he went and he sent in the Marines. And I guess what people are really worried about is the fact that, like, even with the Marines, the training is totally different.
Yeah, totally.
Wording is totally different.
It's totally against the Constitution, and not only in California, but today in Texas, they are having a real crisis because one Democratic Republican mayor, one vice versa. And so one of them is saying it's okay for Trump to send in the troops and federalize the National Guard. And one is saying that that's against the rules and regulations. So they've got a big fight going on in Texas, and one is starting in New York. So that is going to be all over. And so one of the things that, as we were talking today, that I shared with Pam, that I'm a very religious person. And I know that there are people talk about the division of state and church, but as you can see, that is certainly not happening now. That is not the fact right now. And right now, I know that when God sent his son Jesus into the world to save the world, there was also a Satan then, okay? Satan sent his people into the world to take over the world, and they are here right now. You can see it, you can feel it. For those who don't believe in what some of us are saying, read your Bible and follow it and see, because the Bible was written years ago, and see how it has walked down to where we are today. And so it is imperative for us as citizens of these United States of America to stand up for and I told our representative David Tyson Smith just a couple of days ago, I don't know about anybody else, but I said, I want you all to stand up, and I believe that we're going to have your back, that we're going to fight with you. This is a spiritual thing that we are in right now, and people do not understand or realize it. And until they do, we are in trouble. Okay? So we need to stand up and fight, and I was in our musical, and I've been singing it all evening. I was in our musical, the NAACP musical on Sunday, and I sing Reverend Minister Alex Palmer just did a magnificent job with our kickoff Juneteenth musical. And one of the songs that he brought is that I'm ready to fight. You know, in Jesus, I will prevail. Okay? I'm ready to fight. And so that's what we have to be doing when we're not talking about physical fighting. We're talking about using our minds to make the difference, to take the actions, to make the difference that we need to do. What we need to do, because right now, just like Donald Trump is spending all of this money for this parade for his birthday, you know, for his glorification, when that belongs to the Congress. And the Congress that we elected is sitting there and allowing him to do what he's doing, okay? Because they are the one that holds the purse strings. And now he's got them, you know, and he's talking about now taking money from all of these agencies and giving it to the government, so that the government, like the FEMA, for instance, give it to the office of the president, doing away with FEMA, giving that authority to the office of the president, which means that everybody that wants any money for all this money for taxes that we pay into the government, anybody that wants it, which is the way it is laid out in the Constitution, that the states get so much, you know, and each one of the states gets so much. And the way he is setting it up is that they have to come to him, the president, to be able to receive money when they have disasters in their area, that he holds the purse string. And we cannot sit here and continue to allow that to happen. Because if I have to come to you for my living, for all of my living, I'm going to be catering to you. That is a dictatorship, and that's what he is doing. And we are sitting here, you know, just talking about, oh, you know, we're losing our democracy. Oh, we're losing our democracy. Okay, what are you doing about it? Right. What are you doing about losing our democracy?
Yeah, well, we have got to get out there and put boots on the ground, because
yes,
things are changing, and they're changing rapidly. And Donald Trump, he knows what he's doing.
Yes.
It's not that he's so smart and knows what he's doing, but he has people behind him.
He's so evil that he knows what he's doing.
This agenda. And so if we don't say anything, we will be sitting under a full dictatorship. And yes, he wants control of FEMA, because he cannot control those Democratic governors the way he wants. And if he has control of FEMA, because he knows that that falls under all those natural disasters and things. And so
all
when
the money that they receive,
the money to get repairs for their roads and get houses rebuilt and all of that, it has to go through FEMA. And if he controls that, he feels he can control the governors, because the people are going to want their houses rebuilt. They're going to want their property restored. And so they have no choice but to say, if this is the only way we can get it, then we have to go this route.
Just like with Elon, just like with Musk. You know, Musk had to come back to him, and, you know, this is just really, really funny that Musk said what was on his heart about Donald Trump. But then when he was reminded that you got all these government contracts that he's going to pull, they called him and said, you best get with him, because he's going to pull all those contracts for all these things that you got in process here. And there's no, that it can't stand without those fundings, with all those fundings. So here he comes back and say, I said too much. I rescind some of what I said, you know, etc. And that's what Donald Trump is looking for all along. And it's going to, and so that's why I'm talking to folks about religion now, because it's really praying time. You know, it's really praying time for all of us, because, however, I will have to say that biblically, we know where we are, and we know what we got to go through, and we got to be willing to stand up.
Right. And it is, everything that's going on is biblical. But as with anything, even in the Bible, you know, with Moses, then they had to fight, you know. You had David and Goliath. They had to fight. And so there's a time to fight.
Yes.
And so we have to get boots on the ground, and we have to fight when the time comes for us to fight for what we know is right. When, you know, we are fighting against powers and principalities, and we have to keep that in mind. But we still have to take a stand.
That's it.
For what we know is right, because we have people that, because of the wrongness that's being done, that will be hungry. You've got all these families they're taking food from by taking money, and they're doing it through all these different subsidies that they have. And so we have to be prepared for the battle, and to say, we're not going to just stand here and not say anything.
Right. And biblically, Joshua fought the battle of Jericho.
Right.
And there were David fought for the Israelites against Goliath. And we sometimes we don't want to have to physically fight.
Right.
Our thing is not to physically fight. We have to work as hard as we can. But we cannot afford to continue to sit here and say our representatives are not doing anything. The Democratic Party is not doing. They can't do anything. The Democratic Party, in the first place, you did not elect enough of them to have control. Had you done that, they could have control. But we talk about democracy. Under our democracy, they don't have the number to do what they would like to do, what is good for the people. And so, it's up to us. We made that mistake. We sat home when we could have been outvoted.
Well, we have to stop being bought.
Yes.
And that's what the problem was.
Yes.
People were bought. We have certain groups that were not representative, and then the ones that were, they were bought.
Yeah, that's it.
And we have to stop being bought, because what has happened is they bought you for a vote and then turned the tables on you and started taking money out of your pocket. So what you might have gotten, you all of a sudden don't have.
And what they don't realize, that anything that can be bought can also be sold. Donald Trump bought them, he and Elon, with their money. Okay? But they sold them once they got what they wanted.
Right.
They sold them. Donald Trump wanted the power. Donald Trump is so tied up in power. He is so and that's the reason I said I know who he is. I have known from the very beginning of who he is, and soon as we all realize who he is, then we will know better how to fight him.
Well, I mean, he has an agenda.
Yeah.
And his agenda, if he comes out of office, he could be facing prison.
Absolutely.
And so he's fighting for his life.
Absolutely.
As hard as he can. And he's doing it all in a very negative way, but that's his MO. But he is looking out for Donald Trump.
Absolutely.
And he's not looking out. People talk about his family. He's not looking out for any of them. They can get on the bandwagon or not.
That's it.
But it's all about him. And it's about, and while he's doing it, he's a narcissist.
Yes.
And so he wants to be uplifted. He wants to be praised. He likes to speak on himself.
Yeah, how embarrassing to have $150 million a parade when folks are hungry, starving, and dying.
Exactly.
Just on your birthday.
Exactly.
And talk about it's not for my birthday. You already said you disrespected the veterans. So it can't be for the veterans. It's just to show folks that you got all of this military power out here, and if you bother me, I'll unloose it on you. Well, one of the things that he does not realize is that there was a civil war in this country already, and that the majority of the people did not agree with the Civil War. But he thinks that because he's got the military, but he does not seem to understand that we have family in the military. We have friends in the military. Some of those folks are not going to do some of the dirty things that he would have to do to win this war. So he's not going to win the war. He's going to lose the war for the second time. Okay? But he's willing. He thinks that he's got this military out here, and he'll shoot down some people. And then as soon as he shoots down some people, then there's going to be 3 times more people rising up. He can count on that, because people are not going to sit by while he takes over this country. Militarily, we have been free too long. Too much was put into it, and our ideas it's embedded on our minds that we have a democracy that we want to keep, and we are willing to fight for that
Right, and we have to do that, not just sit and wait. You know, I tell people all the time, I have some people and they complain and complain, and I ask them, well, what are you doing?
Get up.
And they like, well, I don't know what to do. If you don't do anything else, when there's a rally, go be a part of the rally. You know, call your senators, your state reps, tell them, you know, that you don't think this is right. You're not in support of that. There's something that everyone can do. We have young people that come out and they hold the sign and say, I can't vote for me. You know, do this for me because I'm not able to do that. So we have to be out and we have to be seen, and we just have to let them know that, you know, we're not going to sit down and just let you steal our democracy for the sake of your uplifting, for your benefit. We've got too many people that all of these changes will affect. You've got him messing with Social Security. It's going to affect the elderly as well as people that are on disability or what have you. You've got him messing with the money for food stamps and things. And they think that that's affecting the African American community. But the African American community is not the top number of individuals that are on food stamps and things like that. You've got kids that depend on those meals going to schools. They are cutting back on those things because of them wanting to take money to do things such as have this military parade. So it's affecting everyone.
And so they don't want,
we have to do something.
That's why they want to take the books out of the libraries and out of the schools, certain books out of the library and the school. Because during the 60s, when the kids, the college kids really learned they were in college by this time, when they really learned about the civil rights movement and what had happened and how it had happened and all that, they felt that they had an obligation to go down and try to help, you know, change that situation. So why did they know that? Because they went to college and they was taught it and they knew it. Okay, that's why they're trying to take these books out so these kids don't know, but they don't know there's too much intertwining here now to keep people from knowing the younger people from knowing what's right and what's wrong. You know, I was at school. We were at school yesterday, for instance, and I picked my great grandkids up from school, and so we went by the mall. We were in the cafe court and with Latrina and Alani, and we were there getting our order in, and the lady, I had talked to this lady while we were waiting for them at school to come out, but I didn't see, you know, the child as he came out. But when we were standing there ordering, this little young white boy that is the same age as Trina, and when he and his mother and she had a baby in the carriage, when they came up and he saw Trina, he goes, Trina, Trina. They ran together and hugged each other, you know, and laughed and talked. They were so happy to see each other. That's the kind of thing that Donald Trump and part of the country is trying to keep from happening. So those are the people. That young man is the kind of young man that will grow up and say, you know, segregation is wrong, treating a person wrong because the color of their skin is wrong, because he saw no color unless somebody, you know, poisons his mind. He had he just knew that there was his friend Trina, you know? And so those kids that were in college were looking at their college friends and going, our college friends are hurting. This is not right. What can we do? So they decided to join in and help. I believe that we will have that same time. And my hat just goes off to Harvard. And I know that they're trying to break them every way that they possibly can. But I'm praying to God that they will continue to stand as the beacon of light that they have been all of these years. Because what they have done, the reason why they're being attacked, is that because all that they've done all these years have taught the difference in right and wrong, and the right of everybody to be able to live a comfortable life in this country. And then the immigrants, my heart just goes out to them, because here are these people or came here, thinking that they had come to a better place, and they get here, and look what their children, they have children that's 15, 16 years old, have never been to that country, and all of a sudden they yanked up and sent off to another country, someplace that they have no idea of anything. This is so wrong.
It's the same thing they did with slavery.
Same thing they did with slavery.
Exact same thing that they did. They,
exactly.
Went to Africa and brought African Americans over here to a country they knew nothing about, didn't know the language.
Right.
And then you have no recourse but to be dependent.
That's it.
Because you don't, you don't
can't even speak English. Yes. You don't know what. Yes.
And so they're sending individuals to places they have no idea or know nothing about. It's a sad day for America. It's a sad day.
And we can't just sit around and talk about it being a sad day. We got to be all up and encouraging people everywhere we go. Every time, and I want our clergy, and I'm talking because I hope our clergy. I'm going to ask you an NAACP. This is not an NAACP program that we're doing here now, but I'm going to ask you, who you are the president of the NAACP, to call on those ministers and tell them that we expect something from them. We expect some leadership from them. That's what they got in the marches that we had in the 60s and 70s. We had ministers leading it. Okay, we just have a day and line up at Hickman High School or somewhere and march down to the courthouse and say, or the city hall or wherever we want to march, to say that we are for those representatives who are standing up for us, and we are encouraging to stand up for us. And if you didn't, we're going to do like Trump did. We're going to primary you.
Right.
Okay.
Right. And we have to make that point that the churches, that is where the lead came.
Yes.
Back in the 60s and all that. And even before that, they gather in the churches. And so the clergy were always involved in helping to lead their shepherds or their flock to wherever the problem was, and just take a stand and stand out. And it's sad that the so-called, as they say, evangelicals got tricked by Trump.
Yes.
And the reason I say got tricked by Trump was a lot of them went along with that because that's where their mentality was. But how they got tricked was that they didn't realize that impact was going to affect them too.
And see what they've done. They've taken an issue. It's like Trump was always for, I'm just talking about what I'm talking about. He was always for abortion until he got in with the evangelicals, and they decided something else. That's just the way he doesn't believe in. He doesn't care whether there's abortions or not. He doesn't care about people that are living or not. So we can't. So he's found an issue, that and immigration, or his two issues that he has had his majority to link on to go along with his program, because he says that he supports that, those entities, and so he has found the place, and everybody have the right. I just give everybody the right to make their own decisions about whatever, as long as your decision is not negatively impacting a majority of other people,
Right.
And so that's what that's where I sit right here. But I do know that we cannot afford. I will not afford. I promise you, I will not afford, as long as God gives breath in this body and activities of my limb. I will never sit down and accept just the fact that you got somebody that we call a president, up there that's got the power to do. Our Supreme Court has let us down. I am so disappointed with our Supreme Court, because it was the Supreme Court and our Congress that allowed Donald Trump the power that he's got, and now he's got it, and they're scared to death of him. Robert Stark trying to come out, but he's scared. They all scared to death of him because Because the powers that they're giving, he just say, no, I'll just dismantle y'all. I'll dismantle the Supreme Court. And I dismantle, what's people going to do? They haven't done anything about anything else that he has dismantled. And one of the things that I say to people, be careful when you listen to the fact that Donald Trump and Musk have separated. Donald Trump and Musk have got a plan. They have got a plan, and they are playing the public like a guitar. You know, they are not separated. They're going to do whatever is best for the interest of the two of them. I'll do for you. I'll scratch your back, and you scratch mine. Okay. Oh, yeah. And now, when they got so mad, everybody got so angry at Musk that everybody was looking at him, and it began. He didn't care at first, but then it began to affect Donald Trump. Mm-hmm. So when it began to affect Donald Trump, then Musk had to move out of the way. But they decided how he would move out of the way. They didn't. Mm-hmm. They didn't just throw him to the curb. And the fact that his people are going to him, asking them to call him so that they can get back in good grace. No, they were never out of good grace. Right. They just made the public think that they were out of good grace. And Musk was losing money on his car.
And that's why he was saying what he was saying.
Exactly.
But then
for the benefit of his people.
For the benefit of his people. But then what happened was he started to realize once Trump said, I'll start pulling those contracts. Mm-hmm. Then he was like, uh-oh. And he started trying to be apologetic to Trump because it's all about making the money.
Yes.
It's all about making the money.
That's all it's about.
It has nothing to do with the protection of the military.
Or the democracy.
Or the democracy of it or anything. And while we're sitting here and Donald Trump is doing, when you're a kid, they buy you those little army figurines. You move them around. Or while Donald Trump is trying to play with our real army in such a way as a kid would play with those toy soldiers by having this so-called military parade that is really for his birthday, over $134 million is what this is costing to have. And while he's doing this, our country is less protected.
Exactly.
We have military.
That's all our military down there in Washington.
Right, dispersed there. We have some in California, and no telling where else at that time we might have. But our military, we are so focused on uplifting him. We're not, but he's trying to uplift himself. So focused on that our country is less safe.
And then people, I know my temptations myself is that I want to see how stupid it is to look at it. But then I don't believe I'm going to look at it because of the fact that I don't want to give him the viewership that he wants to have, So you're kind of caught between a rock and a hard place with that, because you really, when you are a leader, you really need to know all of what is going on. So it's very difficult not to be able to see it for yourself, But I know that there's a lot of other things going on in the country in different parts of the country during that military parade. And I know that New York folks said they're not going, etc. But we know that some of them will. But anyway, we, with this thing that's going on, it is I hope that it's the embarrassment that people say it's going to be for him, Mm-hmm. But the fact that he's getting up there and they are saying, sir, to him, that's enough for him.
Right.
That boosts his ego.
Right. And then, it's causing hardship for the individuals that are in the military.
They don't even have some place to sleep. Some of them, they say.
They don't have no place to, but it's making it hard for them because they are trying to have allegiance to their country, and yet he's taking advantage of that. Mm-hmm. And they all are not in agreement with doing this. But do they? What I mean, are they going to be considered
the general
AWOL if they don't go? Yeah. If they go, I mean, you're putting them in a bad situation. As you are when you are putting them on the streets against their own family members and things in California.
Yes.
Some of those people from the National Guard and places are standing there, and they've got family
Yes.
that is participating in the protest. And so you're causing a division there. So we're at a very dangerous time right now. I worry about somebody getting shot.
Well, we know that's
the impact that's going to have.
We know that that's going to happen.
Eventually,
We know that we know that it's going to happen. It's
Yes.
just a matter of when.
Yes, and it could be during
of-
his military parade, because he said if anybody protests,
Yes. Mm-hmm.
what he's going to do.
Well, he's going. Well, New York is protesting.
Exactly.
They're and well, they're not the only one, but they are the big one that is protesting. And so they're having,
As they should be.
as they should be, and all over we should be looking at this very negatively, because he's going to try to use this. What he's trying to do is show us. They're talking about the world. He's trying to show America now so that he can become a dictator. He's trying to show us of what he's got under his thumb.
Right.
As the commander in chief of the military.
And then, when it's time for elections, he sends those troops in to different places and intimidate people. That is the true sign of dictatorship.
Absolutely.
And so we've got to be willing to stand up and take a stand and let them know that we're not in agreement with that.
Absolutely.
And that we're going to do everything we can to turn this around and try to hold on to our democracy. So,
And we can't be scared.
oh no.
We cannot be scared. And I'm looking at those people out there who are going out there handing their hands out to be locked up, because they believe in what they believe in.
Right.
I don't know if you've watched that very closely, but they were walking and handing handing themselves,
put their hands behind their back,
handing themselves to them to say that, we're willing.
Right.
We're willing to stand up. We're willing to fight.
Right.
And so we are. That's our thing. Is that we're willing to fight. We're willing and we're ready.
And we're at a time that we have no choice.
Absolutely.
You
So
have
we
to stand for something, or you'll fall.
So we're saying to you, all of those of you who are listening, is that when there's activity going on, be a part of it. If you can't, everybody can't. Some of them can't sing like angels and some can't preach like Paul, but we can be in that vicinity that we support those who are able to speak and to bring people together. And, and there has always been, there was a Nat Turner, there was a Martin Luther King, there were leaders, there will always be somebody's going to step forward to be our national leader, to lead us in all of things. But even though that we have many organizations all across, we always need, the whole thing is that everything has to have a leader, and we're going to have one. I don't know where they're coming from right now, but God is going to show it to us.
Yes,
He's going to show up.
I believe that.
He's going to show up.
I believe that. And we just have to take a stand until that time comes, and be prepared for when it happens. And I try a lot of times not to even, you watch so much of that on the news that you kind of get a headache behind it. There's so much going on, but you have to stay up on what's going on.
Absolutely.
So you have to watch it. You have to know what's going on, because it's going on in your backyard.
Absolutely.
It's affecting you. And you have to kind of try to stay 2 steps ahead of the game.
Yeah, just like people, just like little things that people don't think about. Like when Musk decided that the Social Security, everything would change with Social Security. If like my birthday is, you got your bill set up on the 1st of the month.
And it's always
my birthday is the 2nd of the month. So that means I wouldn't get my check until after my birthday, but there are people whose birthday comes the 12th, 13th, 14th, 15th, 20th. They changed the thing so they won't get a check that first. Oh yeah, you're going to get your check the 24th. Your rent was due first.
Yeah, and so you've got late fees. You're calling people, your bills are due.
The bills are due.
And you're having to try to say, can I get it on this day instead of this day? So it's affecting everyone.
Absolutely.
In a negative way. And as the one gentleman said when they were talking about Social Security, how his mother wouldn't miss it. Well, he's sitting on a pot of gold.
Absolutely.
And able to do that. Everybody is not.
Everybody is not.
Some people
Most people are not.
Are living paycheck to paycheck, is trying to say, make ends meet.
Absolutely.
And doing it and trying to do it in a legal way.
Absolutely.
And then you go and you mess them up. Because one thing, if it's like a domino effect, you've got perfect credit, you're paying everything.
Absolutely.
But you are getting your money through Social Security, but you've got everything taken care of. Then they do that, and that affects your bills being paid. So all of a sudden now you've got credit that is no longer good.
That's right.
And so then you're needing something.
And you're paying high for it, even if you get it. You're paying more for it.
That's what I was going to say. Then you're needing credit, and you can't get it where you normally get it when your credit was good. So now you're going to the loan places, and your interest is 22, 25%. So you're paying triple, not double, but triple what you had to borrow just to be able to make ends meet. Absolutely. And then when you get ready to go to the stores, and the prices have went up, and so you're trying to shuffle your money with that. So one thing affects the other.
Absolutely.
And it just turns your life upside down.
Absolutely.
And that's for the normal everyday person. This is, we're not talking about people that have, $1 million sitting in their account. They can just go say, well, hey, I'll pay with this until that gets there. We're talking about people we're talking about the majority of the people that we call now middle class.
And so let me say to you, the community, is that this podcast that we're having is not so that you can see Pam and me. That's okay. That you know who we are. And we have this podcast so that we can hopefully enlighten you and bring issues to your attention, to just prick your conscience so that you will be workers, so that you will be doing those things that you ought to be doing, so that you will be telling people about our democracy and how it's being challenged right now. So you can talk about, the federal government and Social Security, and your Medicare and Medicaid, your insurance and all of that. That's why we are challenging you. That's why we are here. We could be home resting and that sort of thing, not worrying about what is going on out there. I know I'm retired, okay? But I want you to be able to live the life that God has provided for you without having to do all of these fighting and lack of democracy. If people want to go to college, that they can feel free to do that without their courses being challenged and that sort of thing. We want the best life for everybody it's been given to us, that we live a good life. And that's what we are fighting for. That's what Pam and I are having this part. That's why we are talking about, because we hope that we are pricking your conscience so that if you can't speak, everybody don't want to speak. Everybody can't speak. If you can't speak, you can be in the crowd to help, push us along. If you can't sing and we're singing for a program, you may not be able to sing. You can be there to help support us. Your presence is important. So as we go through this Juneteenth month, don't let this just be a month of Juneteenth when we remembered in the 1865s when the people in Texas finally realized that they were free. But let's just make sure that we make this a better life for our children who are coming along behind us, because that's what we all hope for. That's what we all fighting for, because we realize we're not going to be here always, and that every generation will be given the opportunity to thrive. And that's what we are working for, especially in the African American community, is that we have to fight for everybody, but we especially have to fight for those who have been disenfranchised for so long, that they will have a good life.
And we know the importance of getting out there to fight, because here in Columbia, we've made a difference by being out on the streets and being visual. People could see us and people could talk, and we could, let them know what those issues are, and they could join in, and they had a place, and knew they had a place where they could have their voices heard. As you said, everybody doesn't have the ability to stand in front of people and say
Absolutely.
things. But you might have the talent of drawing up posters, or you might have the physical body to be able to just walk in the crowd. But there's something for everyone to do. You might only can hold up a sign, but there's something for everyone to do to say that, you know, enough is enough. I'm not going to stand for it anymore. We're not scared. We love our democracy. We want our democracy.
Right.
And we're willing to put boots on the ground and fight for our democracy. With that being said, we want to thank you all for coming out and looking at our podcast. We hope that we enlighten you on some of the issues of today. And we hope that you will get out and take a stand and let people in your town know that there's a place for them to be, to fight for democracy, and that we don't have to take this lying down, that we can do this in a nonviolent way, but we can make a difference, and that we need to make a difference. We need to think about life as we know it and what will be left behind for our children and our grandchildren. We don't want them to go back. We want them to move forward, and we have the opportunity to make some things happen and to make a change. So if you have any questions or you would like to comment, please send us a note. You can go to truthofthematters1@gmail.com. That's truthofthematters1@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you. We'd love to hear about any issues that you'd like us to look into, to check into, and give you some answers on. But we would love for you to comment. Let us know how we're doing.
Absolutely.
Let us know if you have anything that, you know, any questions or things that we might be able to help you with.
And, you know, as we get ready to come to a close, I wanted just to say to you, to the community, that we have taken on the stance is they may not like it, but we're going to keep on stepping. And the truth of the matter is